Welcome to the January Assessment Team Lunch and Learn office hours here at the Maine Department of Education. My name is Jody Bossio-Smith. I'm the coordinator of the assessment team here at the Maine Department of Education, and I'll pass it over to Krista.
Hi everyone, I'm Krista Averill. I'm the assessment coordinator for the Maine Through Year Assessment in Reading and Math, as well as the Maine Science Assessment. And I'll pass it over to Michelle.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Michelle Gangelfinger. I am our English Language Proficiency, or the WIDA Access and Alternate Access Coordinator. I also coordinate our Multi-State Alternate Assessment, our MSAA. And Dr. G.
And I'm Regina Lewis. I coordinate the national and international assessments. We also have Leah Jarvis, who's not with us today, but many of you have already worked with her as far as data requests, and Daniela Crone is behind the scenes running the slides today.
Thanks, Gina. We're also joined by some of our collaborators on one of our assessment programs who you'll hear from in just a little bit. The agenda today will include some brief general updates and then going into assessment-specific information, starting with Maine's English Language Proficiency Assessments, WIDA Access, WIDA Alternate Access, and WIDA Access for Kindergarten. Our work on the assessment team is frameworked by the vision, mission, and strategic priorities of the Maine Department of Education. We work to provide high-quality technical assistance to Maine SAUs. This is available upon request. It's also available as part of our monitoring process under federal requirements. And these are across the Maine Educational Assessment. So not just our general assessments in math, reading, and science, but also our ELP or English Language Proficiency Assessments and our alternate assessments for students with the most significant cognitive disabilities. And of course, we have the expertise of Dr. Gina Lewis providing support across the National Assessment of Educational Progress, which is taking place again this year, and our international assessments. At any time, please don't hesitate to reach out to a member of the team. January and beyond are going to start to become very busy months. December and November are also busy. We look at closing out a fall assessment window for math and reading and moving into pre-administration activities for several of our assessments. The WIDA Access, Alternate Access, and WIDA Access for Kindergarten administration window opened Monday, January 5th. So that is open now. ML directors and coordinators, ML teachers are serving as test coordinators and test administrators, and hopefully have had the opportunity to meet with curriculum coordinators or district assessment coordinators to really collaborate and share in their expertise around the district-wide administration of this assessment. We also have the National Assessment of Educational Progress coming up. That's opening towards the end of January. And our optional winter administration of the Maine Through Year Assessment in Reading and Math also opened this past Monday. So it's a busy assessment season. Also, just wanted to provide a quick update. As many of you know and participated in, we released a request for proposals, or RFP, development survey as part of our required procurement guidelines. This was to elicit feedback from the Maine educator workforce around the development of our assessment programs, future assessment programs. This closed around December 19th. We were lucky enough to receive participation from over 450 individuals in the survey across a variety of roles. And so we're currently looking at that results data and preparing a summary for both our commissioner's office, as well as a resource that we will be able to share with you at a later time once prepared around the data that came back from our survey from our Maine educators. So more to come on that in the coming weeks and months. And Michelle, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Jody. So first I'll get started with WIDA Access, Alternate Access. The assessment window is now open. It will remain open until February 27th. So throughout the testing window, if you have any questions, your TCs have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I am here to be of assistance. The next slide will show us the timeline. So here you'll see that the additional materials window is now open. Additional materials can be ordered through February 20th, and I'll go over the process of ordering the additional materials in just a moment. You will also see here that all materials must be shipped back to DRC no later than March 20th. And in order to ensure that reports are made available by April 29th, this date must be adhered to. By now, your TAs and TCs should have completed the necessary trainings to complete any assessments they'll be administering to students. And a couple of things to keep in mind is that the kindergarten access, due to the changes to that assessment, all TAs that are administering the WIDA kindergarten must complete the assessment training this year. For the alternate access, if it wasn't completed last year, it must be completed this year. And then just any of your new TAs, new TCs, make sure that they are completing any of the trainings that are necessary. So now we'll go over the receiving and ordering materials. So once materials were received in December, the district test coordinator needed to make sure that the packing slips and the materials received matched. This is also true when ordering any additional materials. Because keep in mind that WIDA access materials are secure. They're the intellectual property of WIDA, and all materials must be returned to DRC after testing is complete, whether they were used, whether they weren't used. DRC does track all materials that are shipped, and each and every secure material must be accounted for when returned. If any materials are missing at your SAU, they'll be expected to track them down when all of the materials are accounted for. That way everything can be returned. So I will reach out if there's any missing materials, and that's why it's so important to track everything now. So if additional materials are needed during the assessment window, they can be ordered through WIDA AMS Secure Portal. So to order materials, log into DRC Insight and start by clicking on the Order and Manage Access Materials as shown in the bottom row of the first column of this slide. And then so to place a new order, you're going to select an administration, district, and school from the drop-down menus and click on Show Materials. Enter the quantities for the additional materials the district requires in the additional materials grid, and then click the Complete button. There is an instruction tab on the page so that you can see a detailed list of directions if needed. And one thing to keep in mind is that before placing an order for WIDA alternate access, students, please confirm that the alternate access flag has been checked and an upload to Synergy has been completed. Prior to approving orders for alternate access students, this process does need to be confirmed. And for your multilingual K-2 special education students who have not been determined eligible for the alternate assessment through the IEP team process, it is the same process as it is for grades 3 to 12 students. In order to participate in the WIDA alternate access, students must be eligible to participate in the state summative multi-state alternate assessment, or the MSAA. So we've had several questions on adding accommodations. So I wanted to go over this slide, which outlines the process of adding student accommodations. For Maine, accommodations need to be added through test management. So who's ever adding those accommodations, they will need district or school permissions to be able to add the accommodations. To add the accommodations, click the test management and confirm your site, criteria, and registration window as shown on the graphic. Select your registered students and click the vertical ellipse icon under the action column for the domain to be edited. From there, select them and manage accommodations and select the checkboxes for the appropriate accommodations. The last step is to simply save your changes. So it's a pretty easy process, but the big thing is making sure to go through test management in order to do that. WIDA and DRC have some very helpful resources. Now that the test window's open, I would highly recommend that TCs and TAs take advantage of these resources as they begin the process to administer this year's assessment. There is online help, knowledge articles, and WIDA assessment webinars, all that are available to help answer questions and guide TCs and TAs through the process. There are a couple of upcoming WIDA assessment webinars that I just want to draw your attention to in January. The first one is going to be on returning WIDA access test materials. That's on January 20th. And there is a monitoring WIDA access completion for test coordinators on January 22nd. Recordings of the assessment webinars are posted to the WIDA Secure portal on the webinars page within a week and of the presentation. So, and you can find you'll be able to find these after they're presented, but also you can find a lot of the other helpful webinars there that viewers can watch at their convenience. A secure login is required to watch the webinar. So if anyone needs assistance with this process, they can just reach out to me. The next slide will have our who to contact. So during the test administration window, it's important to have this information. So you've got help at wida.wisc.edu. They can give help with secure portal accounts, assessment training modules, self-paced learning. DRC, their website, their link is right here. They can help with account creation, technical issues of the platform, anything to do with the DRC lockdown browsers. And then my information is here. Reach out to me with any questions that you might have related to policy, related to student rosters. I'm here to answer any questions. And now we will move on to the Maine Through Year. So Krista.
Thank you, Michelle. So we are in the optional winter administration. As Jody had previously mentioned, it opened this past Monday and it will end on February 13th. I do just want to note that no special consideration exemption requests need to be submitted because it is an optional administration. January 30th will be the last day to request a paper-based test form, and February 6th at 4 p.m. will be your last opportunity to request an assessment reset for this administration. February 23rd through 27th is the SAU Data Cleanup Week. However, please know that you can begin most of those activities right now. On March 18th will be your last opportunity to run operational reports for the winter administration. For example, the summary test status report. And then on March 25th, the winter 2026 student score data file will become available. So we just want to bring to your awareness a temporary display error with the State Solutions Secure Browser Calculator. This is occurring in the basic scientific and graphing calculators when utilizing some of the alternate color schemes. And NWEA is actively working to remediate the display error, but we want to bring it to your awareness in case it occurs while assessing. So you can see at the bottom of the slide on the left, the expected appearance of the calculator when a student clicks the wrench icon for settings, and then the display errors that may occur. So whether on a white background, you're not able to see the little a there, that changes the size of the buttons, or on a darker background with white text, not being able to see the options. We do want to note, however, that it's not recommended to use the reverse contrast setting when already using an alternate color scheme, because the alternate color scheme itself provides the same visual support. So one of the frequently asked questions we receive is, what is the relationship between a student's RIT score percentile and their achievement level in the spring? For example, well below, below, at, and above state expectations. So one thing to remember is there's no one-to-one correlation between RIT scores and Maine scale scores and those achievement levels. The set of questions that determines the Maine scale score in the spring is a subset of the questions that determine the RIT score in the spring. In particular, it's approximately 2/3 of the questions. However, although there is no one-to-one correlation, we can make general statements about how many students in each percentile band will meet state expectations. Now, the data you're seeing here on the slide is based on empirical data for spring 2025, based on the 2020 norms, so NWEA's previous norms. And you can see here, for example, if we're looking at grade 3, that many of the students who had a RIT score in the average range also met state expectations. And most of the grade 3 students who had a RIT score in the high average range met state expectations. So if we're looking at this chart as a whole, we can see a general pattern, with the exception of grade 3, of most students with a RIT score in the average range meeting state expectations, and all students in the high average range meeting state expectations in spring 25. So just something to note about this, and remember this is based on the 2020 norms, and we'll address in a moment what changes we may see moving forward. But often when I speak to schools, they're setting their goals for student performance in that average range. So we just want to keep in mind that students whose RIT scores fall within that average percentile range may not actually meet state expectations in this spring. And so it may be more prudent to set a goal of high average for your students. For math, the students in each percentile band meeting state expectations in spring 2025 is the same. So there are no differences here from the previous slide for reading. So let's talk about the potential impact of the new RIT score norms. With the new 2025 RIT score norms, the RIT score associated with that 60th percentile is now lower. So that means in spring 2026, we might see some slight shifts. For example, we might move from all students in that high average RIT percentile range meeting state expectations to most of the students in that range meeting state expectations. And so this is just something to keep in mind as you're looking at your winter scores and thinking about where you want to move with your students over the next few months. We are going to, of course, reevaluate these correlations or correspondences between the RIT score percentile ranges and meeting state expectations after the spring 26 administration to get a fuller picture of what impact the new RIT score norms may have had on those relationships. For technical assistance, I'm available for TA related to building foundational understandings about the assessment structure, interpreting scores, accessing reports, and your pre-administration activities. We also have a professional learning session coming up 2 weeks from today, same time, 12 o'clock to 1 p.m. on accessing, understanding, and using RIT score reports in MAP and Acacia. Because of the timing of that PL session, it is going to be focused more on administrators rather than educators, as it is in the middle of the school day. And the registration link is in the slides, as well as in the Maine DOE event calendar. I'm going to turn it over to Haley from NWEA to talk to you about the HMH rostering service update.
Thank you, Krista. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for giving me some time today. Earlier this year, we released the HMH rostering service for Back to School 25. During that release, we had shared that it was our goal at NWEA to transition all of our partners to the HMH rostering service by June 2026. Just wanted to provide an update today that we are lifting that requirement. So we will no longer migrate everyone to this integrated rostering platform by June of this year. We are going to allow you the flexibility to continue to choose between migrating to HMH rostering service or continuing with your current dual rostering process or your legacy rostering process you utilize today. If you choose to switch to integrated rostering, you can still continue to do that at your own pace. There's no new deadline that will be imposed at this time. If you are interested in learning more about HMH rostering service and how that could work for your SAU, we have an email here on the slide that you can reach out to. And then for any other rostering related questions, we have a Maine designated support line. You can reach that number there on the screen between 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. your local time zone, Monday through Friday.
Thank you, Haley. And then whom do you contact if you run into any issues? So NWEA Maine Partner Support is here to assist you if you have any technical issues with the Acacia platform, with the State Solutions Secure Browser, or with the Map Growth platform, including rostering and map. Our Maine DOE MEDM support team is here to assist if you need help updating student enrollment information in Synergy or updating staff information in NEO. And then I'm here to help you with any questions related to assessment content, accessibility, scoring, reporting, and policy. In addition, if you have any problems that NWEA partner support or the MEDM support team are not able to resolve, please reach out to me. And if you have a case number or a ticket number, please provide that at that time. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Lewis.
Thank you, Krista. Good afternoon, everyone. The NAEP administration begins later this month on January 26th. For schools selected for NAEP, January's priorities include the scheduling and participating in an assessment planning meeting with the NAEP field representatives. Those are the people that will be leading the team administering the assessment in the schools. Schools with scheduled assessment dates in January and early February should schedule the meetings and complete the pre-assessment tasks as soon as possible. It's just around the corner. Early next week, I will submit an updated enrollment for all of the selected schools and each selected grade that are for the schools participating in NAEP. This is a state level submission, so your folks will at the selected schools will just have to review the lists and maybe add 1 or 2 additional students that have enrolled most recently. A few additional students may appear on the list of selected students on or about January 19th. Other activities to be completed prior to the assessment include reviewing the list of selected students and providing any missing demographic information, as well as assigning the appropriate accommodations for the students. In addition, there is a small amount of logistical information to be provided to the field representatives. This information includes the time school begins and ends, where the assessment team should park, the procedure for entering the building, where to meet the school coordinator, and the location of the rooms for the assessment administration. In schools where students will be assessed on school-managed devices, applications installers should begin to install the NAEP application and conduct the device readiness checks. Many schools have already started these tasks, and the process is going very well. As a reminder, scheduled assessment dates are located in the NAEP assessment management system in the banner at the top of the school page. In event a school needs to reschedule the assessment date for any other reason than weather, please reach out to me, Dr. Lewis, at my email, which is available on our page and in our documents, and we can stick it in the chat, and do that as soon as possible. For weather-related rescheduling, the school coordinator or principal should reach out directly to the NAEP assessment coordinator, who is the team lead for the NAEP staff administering the assessment. Next slide, please. This is a visualization of how to schedule the assessment planning meeting in the NAEP assessment management system. Preferably at least 1 week prior to the administration of the assessment, the parents of the students selected for NAEP should be notified. The Maine DOE version of the letter and translations are located on the Maine DOE National and International Assessment webpage. The NAEP 2026 inclusion and accommodation policies are also provided on that page. The page and all of the resources mentioned on this slide can be accessed with the embedded links provided here. On this slide, I've provided some additional resources. One can view a NAEP tutorial, experience some of the NAEP items, view the school device technical requirements, or explore the new NAEP assessment frameworks and more. Contact the NAEP field representatives for changes in assessment logistics or weather-related needs to reschedule. Reach out to the NAEP help desk for issues with accessing established AMS accounts, student name changes, or technical help with the NAEP application installation. For all other questions and requests, please reach out to me, and if I don't know the answer, we'll find it. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass it on.
First, I want to give you an update on our multi-state alternate assessment and just the dates here. That window will open March 9th. It'll be open through April 24th. So it does open shortly after the close of WIDA Access. We kind of jump from one to the other. On the next slide, I want to highlight a few important dates for the upcoming school year. So this week, special education directors received an email containing a link to the test coordinator survey. This survey must be completed no later than January 30th. And the purpose of this survey is to identify the designated test coordinator for the 2026 MSAA spring administration. If this survey is not completed, TC will not be added during the initial upload, so they may have delayed access to the platform. So please make sure that this survey is completed for your SAU. When completing the survey, you'll notice that there is a new question related to the number of years the TC has been in this role. So throughout this year, MSA partners and Cognia have been working together to add a refresher course to our training modules for TCs and TAs. This course is for TAs and TCs who have completed the training over multiple years and they have not had any test irregularities or early stopping rule misadministrations during the last year's test administration. So I'll have more to follow on this later, but in the meantime, I just wanted to give you a heads up that this is underway. Next month on the 17th, the MSAA system will open and TCs will be able to add TAs and check student rosters. TCs and TAs will also be able to complete the necessary training modules so that they can have those completed by the time the administration window opens in March. So there's some upcoming Maine DOE professional learning opportunities that will be provided this year. That later this month, in a couple of weeks, we'll have our MSAA training for alternate assessment test coordinators. Next month, there will be a training for alternate assessment test administrators. And then there's some early stopping rule webinars for any SAUs or special purpose private schools who had early stopping rule misadministrations. And for any of those trainings, you can go to the Maine DOE events calendar to register for those trainings. If you have any questions about MSAA, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You also can reach out to the MSA service desk if you have questions related to the platform, account permissions, or any training modules or help logging in. So either them or me would be able to help you. And that's it for MSAA right now. So back to Krista, I believe.
Thank you. So last but not least, we have the Maine Science Assessment. Just a reminder that our spring administration for the Maine Science Assessment does not start until April 1st for high school and then May 11th for grades 5 and 8. We want to give you a heads up now that we are going to be transitioning from accessing the Atom Lockdown browser as a standalone app to accessing Atom via the TestNav secure browser. So 2 things that are going to change are the process for downloading the secure browser and the process for launching the secure browser from student devices. So in the screenshot at the bottom of that slide, you can see what the student will see the first time that they open TestNav, and that they'll be clicking on the button for Maine. I did want to just highlight here, even though the administration is very far away, that they wouldn't be clicking Atom, they'll be clicking Maine. And I'll be sure to remind you of that many, many times between now and the assessment. What will not change is the student experience once they're logged in. It is still Atom for navigating the assessment, so same navigation, same accessibility tools, same interactivity. We do recommend that the old Atom Lockdown browser be removed from student devices, from preventing students from attempting to access the wrong browser during the actual administration. And more information about the reasoning for the transition to TestNav, as well as how to download the application, will be shared next month in February. Technical assistance is available for building foundational understandings about the 3D nature of the Maine Science Assessment, interpreting scores, and accessing reports in the KITE reporting platform. And in March, I can also provide you with assistance in your pre-administration activities in Atom. For the Maine Science Assessment, if you need help accessing reports from 2023 to 2025, please reach out to the KITE service desk. Or if you're a DAC looking to create user accounts for others within your SAU and you need assistance in doing so. I'm here to help with any questions related to content, accessibility, scoring, reporting, and policy. Also, if you're a district assessment coordinator and you do not yet have an account in KITE, please let me know and I will create one for you. And then our manuals and guides are being updated on a rolling process and being posted to the Maine Science Support Desk. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Jody.
Just a reminder as we're wrapping up today that we now have assessment and English language proficiency data dashboards. These are available in QuickSight. That's a project that's been coordinated by our data warehouse manager, Brett Molen, here at the department. I know he has come to past office hours to talk about this and demonstrate it in a demo environment without any student information. These are live. All superintendents do have login credentials, and superintendents can request credentials for district level users such as district assessment coordinators to be able to go in and look at that unsuppressed local data. It also includes an ELP dashboard that includes not only ELP, so English language proficiency assessment data and historical data, but also a table related to the annual calculation of growth. So we calculate our ELP growth based on how students have performed on the past state ELP assessment. And so this table actually shows students who are meeting growth or their progress towards growth annually. So it's actually a really informative resource. Brett Molen does hold weekly drop-in office hours. So there are data warehouse office hours where folks can drop in if they want to go through examples from their own district level data. He can create a private room and walk through that with you. He has been a really great resource for our district leadership in terms of what's possible and what kind of reports to run. He's also very open and receptive to feedback from those we serve in the field. So just another plug for this unsuppressed data resource. And here are the links, which are also included in the slides.